Hey everyone, I want to welcome you to today's Lunch and Learn workshop. And thank you so much for joining me here. If you haven't had a chance to do so, please log on to getreadyforgreatness.com, create your free coaching profile, and you'll be able to get all the information
Hey everyone, I want to
that I have
welcome
to
you
offer.
to
Um,
today's.
so you'll get the offer, the ability to create your free coaching profile. So with that, let's jump right in and get started. By the way, if you are catching this on replay, my name is Richard Cuff. I'm president of CTI Marketing, founder of Nasimba Business Alliance, master greatness coach here at getreadyforgreatness.com. So, and let's jump right in. I'm going to share my screen with you, and we're going to jump onto this final day in our 21 days to greatness segment. We we're going to cover in this last segment today the PS factor, the 21 days to greatness. We're going to talk about the greatness zone and also the 7 habits to greatness. That greatness zone um, is going to focus primarily on the business side, the entrepreneurial thinking side. The what I want you to think of in this, as we've been doing through these 21 days, we've been talking about the PS factor, the P being the physical and the S being the spiritual, and the PS factor being your level of conscious awareness of your natural God given ability to attract a successful outcome in any given situation. So, therefore, as you're beginning to move through each of these modules, the 7 habits to greatness, the 7 steps to overcoming adversity, and those 7 stages of the progressive mindset, each one of those 3 modules all work together. So we've gone over 21 different, and today's the 21st. So it'll be 21 different components of those 3 different modules with 7 components each. So let's begin with the greatness zone. The greatness zone includes these 7 zones. Think of primarily there's two to the extreme, one to the lower extreme, and or say beginning, and then one at the end. But the beginning and the end in this sense can are the same. You can, because it's like you're falling down a mountain that kind of goes in a circle, right? So you can go one side of the circle or the other side of the circle, but either way, you're going to end up back at the same place. And one way takes you around to mediocrity, the other way takes you around to the miraculous. But between mediocrity and miraculous, there are these 5 other zones that we're going to discuss: the comfort zone, the fear zone, the knowledge zone, the growth zone, and then the greatness zone, and then ultimately the miraculous zone. But all of it has to have a beginning. So, in the beginning, as this Bible verse really sums it up, in the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth. And the earth was without form, void, and darkness was upon the face of the deep, and the Spirit of God moved upon the waters, the face of the waters. It's if you read that just from a poetic standpoint, man, that is deep. But to think of it from a standpoint of where does it all begin, or what does it look like in the beginning? It looks like that, you know. Um, and and the process has a very there are 4 distinct things that you want to think about in the beginning. In the beginning, everything is silent, everything is still, everything is dark, and everything is hidden. And then in that still, quiet darkness, hidden, there is this light that is the essence of you that begins to vibrate with energy. So much so that it breaks through that darkness and that stillness, and things begin to things are set into motion. So if you're thinking about that, just think of yourself, that energy of yourself in the beginning, coming from this dark place, this quiet, still, silent place. And there you have your beginning. Then from that beginning, you break out into the mediocrity zone. And in that mediocrity zone, just your survival mode is going to kick in. Just the basic instincts, the fight or flight, and ultimately go along to get along. You will find yourself in that mediocrity. You're settling for the meal of the day, the sandwich. Just give me what I need to get to where I need to go to. I don't want to upset anybody or anything. And believe it or not, there are a lot of people who live in that mediocrity zone. And remember, there is nothing necessarily wrong with being in any one of these zones, because at any moment in time you can find yourself within one of these zones. The key is, though, to be consciously aware that you are there. And it's what I call the four laws of greatness. The four laws of greatness is consciousness, the law of consciousness, the law of awareness. Then there's the law of limitation. And you have to get past those three, or at least activate those three in order to get to that law of attraction. Most people begin with the law of attraction, but that's like saying an iceberg only exists at the top. The part of the iceberg that exists is just that part you see on top of the water. But there is certainly a deeper iceberg underneath that you don't see, but it's there. And that's how those three laws work. The law of consciousness, awareness, and limitation give birth to the law of attraction. So you're going to find yourself at any given moment operating one of those laws or conscious of them as you're moving in these different zones. And whatever zone you're in, those four laws are in operation. So, yeah, consciousness of mediocrity, guess what you're attracting? Mediocrity. So we move from the mediocre or the mediocrity zone into the comfort zone. And that's where you begin to feel confident, safe, serene, secure. Yeah, you can make your bed there. I'm not going to move any further than my comfort zone. But remember those six emotions, or actually seven, what Paul Ekman calls micro expressions, but really they sum up emotions. And remember, an emotion, which I'll touch on this a little bit later, but an emotion is simply an extremely fast thought. It's a subconscious evaluation, something that happens without you having to mechanically do anything. And all it takes is one of those um, emotional triggers to set it off. Surprise, bam. And next thing you know, everything that comes with surprise gets activated. And then you're going to go into one of the other six, and they're like in pairs. The fear or anger, that fight or flight response, fear and anger. Then there's joy and sadness, and then there's contempt. And um, along with contempt is where you just hate that person, or you feel that you have no other place to put that emotion. That's at the highest level, basically. So we got that physical, the mental, and the emotional level. And then we'll reach that spiritual level, and I'll show you where that falls in. So we got the fear zone, where we have a lack of self-confidence. You're seeking approval, and you're affected by the opinions of others, but you're also finding excuses because you find yourself in that surprise. Uh, Surprise has pushed you into the fear zone, and now you got a choice. You can push through the fear zone to the next level, or you can push or work to get everything back to comfortable or comfort zone. Or you can just bypass all of that and just settle for mediocrity. Just bring mediocrity in, because that's the easiest thing to do, is to bring mediocrity in and just settle for good enough. Whatever I got here, this is good enough. I might not even be comfortable, but it's good enough. So mediocrity is kind of like that thought that kicks in and allows us to accept. But if you push past the fear zone and get into that knowledge zone, now you're beginning to learn from your mistakes, deal with the challenges that you're facing, find in this knowledge zone that now would be a good time to acquire new skills. I find contentment in what I'm doing now, and now I can not necessarily settle for mediocrity, but I can make it comfortable. I'll shoot for the comfort zone. I'm certainly past or not going to go back to the fear zone or even bypass the fear zone. Remember, I'm going back and forth between these zones. So now I've got to go from knowledge back to the comfort zone. I got to go past that fear zone again, or to go from comfort to the knowledge. I got to go past the fear zone. Either way, I've got to get past my fears. The growth zone is going to be that place where now you start applying that knowledge. You find your purpose, you set new goals, conquer your past, and start to live your dreams. And then from there, that growth zone takes you to the greatness zone. But I always like to start here with the fact that so that you can see that the greatness zone is not necessarily an extension of the comfort, fear, knowledge, and growth zones. It sits there all by itself. In a way, it's kind of like you can uh, do a quantum leap, if you will, a quantum jump from mediocrity to greatness. Yeah, you can do that. You can, because it's a shift in your mindset. It's not something that you have to physically um, go through from a process. That everything we've been talking about, these zones up to this point, has been s- uh, s- circumstantial and situational. Circumstances and situations are coming in to push you through these things. Maybe kicking and screaming, who knows? But you're going through these zones. But the the greatness zone is a a conscious decision to get ready for greatness. So now you know what you have to do there, and I'll show you how that works. You 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 discover what you are good at. That's what you're looking for. What you're good at. That's that first area in that greatness zone. Then what are you passionate about? And then you look at what is success for you? What does success look like? And right there in that area where it overlaps, that's the greatness zone. That's the zone where now you begin to, you can literally bypass, just go from your comfort zone into that greatness zone. But what you're going to do is find the common areas between those three. What are you good at? What do you love to do? What is success to you? You find those common areas, and here would be a great place then to bring in your mastermind group, individuals that are going to help you better articulate what it is that you're visualizing for yourself. It may be difficult to express initially, but if you can hear as you begin to listen to those that are on the outside looking in, you're going to begin to find the common areas as you brainstorm those options. What are you able to put into place? Here is where I have a seven-stage um, consultation process that we put that into place. We have a 7-point checklist. We bring that into place. So all of these things that we've been talking about over the past 21 days all begin to now work together, and you begin to understand how they help you in that greatness zone. From brainstorming your options, you're going to select the best option. That's where you're going in. That's where that one thing that we talk about, that you're going to implement one thing at a time. But before implementing, you're going to build your plan. Once you build that plan, then The Bible says, write down the vision, make it plain that those that read it may run. As you begin to inspire those around you to run with your plan, you find that you now move into the miraculous zone. And this is where you're going to be able to, and where you will see that you'll complete your purpose, reach your goals, accomplish your missions, and live in the overflow. And I'm talking about like peaceful, stress free, just relax. And because at this point, you fully understand that miracles are not happening because you are doing anything. Miracles are happening because you are positioned to allow them to happen. All of the things have come together in that greatness zone. And now those miracles begin to happen. And that's the zone where you live in. I've said it before, I'll continue to say it. You want to fire that arrow once, but you can move the target as often as necessary. Moving that target means continually reevaluating that greatness zone, the thing that that you're good at, what you're passionate about, what success looks like to you. Because as you begin to move along, those things may change. You're no longer passionate about it, and if you're no longer passionate about it, you can't fake the passion. Someone said, "Well, fake it until you make it." And yeah, if you fake it until you make it. When you finally make it, you will still be a fake. So you can't fake this stuff. You can't fake the miracles. You can't fake the success, because what will happen again when you get there, all of those things that you've been hiding will still be there, and now that becomes your greatest fear, and then you begin to act out, um, and with before you found out, right? So you start destroying things, and you're no longer living in that miraculous zone, because now you lost your way. And believe me, it's the you the quantum leap then is to go from miraculous back to mediocre. And that mediocrity zone then starts this process all over again. So we want to stay in that miraculous zone. So that's the physical, the P side of the equation. Let's get over to the S, the spiritual, the side that now we begin to shape the intangible part of us. Now, in you'll hear me talk about senses and feelings, and the, most people and most people will say, if I pinch the back of your hand, you can say that you can feel me pinching the back of your hand. That's not a feeling. That's a sensation, a physical sensation that is triggered by my sense of touch. But sight, smell, hearing, taste, touch, those are all sensations that my senses are sending signals to my brain, and my brain is perceiving them as such. Those are not my feelings. My feelings are those that energy that's deeper than my thoughts, that are going faster even than my fastest thoughts. My emotions are my extremely fast subconscious thoughts. So my feelings though exist beyond my thoughts. And so what we'll be talking about in this course is basically and balancing quality relationships with an effective use of time, and managing those physical and spiritual resources, the senses and the feelings, to help you reach your goals. So those are the resources that we're talking about managing. Um, and most people think of management from a usage standpoint. Manage a checkbook, that you're how much your money moving, you're moving money in and out. But you can also think about manage from a mechanical standpoint, that your all the parts are operating the way that they're supposed to operate. And so when you're managing this this system. It just may simply be to keep your eye on this 1 meter to make certain that it doesn't get too hot. Make certain you manage it in such a way that you can keep it under control. So that's what you're doing here. You're managing those physical and those spiritual resources. So as thoughts versus emotions, think about the thoughts are that's the energy that's moving slow, and it slows down enough that you can see it, you can hear it, taste it, touch it, smell it. You know, those are the sensations. But there's a reason that why, well, it in a sense it disappears um, above the ultraviolet and infrared. And once it goes into those spectrums, you can see only from red to violet. So red, orange, yellow, blue, green, indigo, violet. Those are the 7 colors in that rainbow. And you'll see those 7 colors. But beyond those 7 colors, your eyes can't compute. But does that mean that they don't exist? No, they are there. It's just that the wavelengths are moving much faster than you can perceive, or much slower than you can perceive. And so those that you are perceiving are within and can sense. Those are within the thought realm. And then the ones that are faster or slower, depending on where which end of the wavelength you're talking about, is it gets into your emotional and ultimately your spiritual. So the way to think about thoughts are things, or even better yet, thoughts become things. So the thoughts become things. And then an emotion on the other side is an extremely fast subconscious evaluation, goes beyond thought and doesn't need the thing part. It doesn't need the it doesn't have a channel that it has through which it sends to you the signals. It bypasses sight, smell, sound, taste, touch. It bypasses those, and it gets to it gets an action, but it's the hair standing on the back of your neck. It's the goosebumps. That's what you can feel it. That's the feeling. So what are those 5 senses? Sight, smell, hearing, taste, and touch. Um, but over here in the feeling side, the 5 feelings: gratitude, forgiveness, respect, compassion, and love. So those are what you feel. Think about it. What what physical mechanism do you need to feel forgiveness? What physical mechanism do you need to feel gratitude or respect, compassion, love? See, there's no physical necessity. It's deeper than that. It's deeper than the thought. It's an energy that exists, or it doesn't. And if that energy exists, you're sending that into your subconscious realm, and your subconscious realm is reflecting that back to you. So it literally is your servant. When the Bible talks about husbands love your wife, or the king treating the servant a certain way, or the master slave, that's that relationship between you on the subconscious level going into your wife on the spiritual level. And that wife, though it's power, don't get it wrong. Don't, as they say, don't get it twisted. Because when it says that this inner self, this spiritual thing, is the servant and you're the master, um, it's the or it's the or you're the king and it's the servant, and or you're the master, it's the slave. That doesn't mean that it's the wimp. It is the strength, but it has this nature about it that it'll take the humble approach and actually do what you say without doing itself any harm. Doesn't harm itself. It's not going to harm it. I'll do that, but it's your thoughts are delivering, reflecting on this thing that is bringing you exactly what you called for. You dialed it up. You sent that energy out there. So you remember, you're dealing with the physical sensation and the spiritual slash emotional feeling. These feelings show up in these emotions that are triggered that get a physical response: surprise, fear, anger, sadness, disgust, and contempt. Those are those pairings, and you'll find yourself operating in those. So um, the the 7 habits to greatness bring all of those to the surface. So William Shakespeare said, "Some people are born great, some achieve greatness, some have greatness thrust upon them." I say this: it doesn't matter how you come upon the greatness; it's on you to get ready for greatness. Um, then Peter asked, "How, Lord, how often should I forgive someone? 7 times?" And Jesus like, "Nah, not 7, but 70 times 7." And again, it's not because that person is doing you wrong 490 times. It's that you should make forgiving a habit. So forgiveness should become a habit. Is this not the fast that I've chosen to loose the bands of wickedness, undo heavy burdens, let the oppressed go free, break every yoke? Absolutely. How does that verse pan out? The These 4 things that forgiveness will do for you. It's about loosening the bands of wickedness or twisted thinking that is on yourself. I can remember we had a break in once, and I remember that after we, you put in the alarm system and all those other things and secure the house and make certain that it doesn't happen again. Every time I found myself sticking the key in the door, I literally found myself saying, "Bastard." It was like, it would just trigger that thought: "You bastard, you, whoever you were." Yeah. Every time I stuck the key in the door, it just triggered that thought. And now that was my thinking. That wasn't whoever that was that broke into the house, um, and they've gone, probably not even thinking about me anymore. But my thinking now is twisted as a result of that. And that's what wicked is. Wicked is just simply twisted thinking. Something happens, it gets twisted. But I've got to loose that wickedness. I got to unwind it. I got to unravel it. Forgiving allows me to do that. I'm carrying that burden. Someone said, carrying around uh, um, not unforgiveness, but the refusal to forgive, a lack of forgiveness, is like drinking the poison and hoping someone else will die. You're drinking the poison, but hoping the person that did you wrong will die. No, you have to forgive in order that you can get that burden off of you, set the captives free. There's that person inside of you that gets locked away all of that. So the habit of forgiving releases that and breaking every yoke. Now the final one comes from this verse, 1 Peter 3:9, not returning evil for evil, railing for railing, but contrariwise being a blessing. For in this you were called that you may inherit a blessing. Without the word forgiving being in that verse, it's still the essence of forgiving is to um, not be evil to that person because they are evil to you, or to trade insult with insult, but instead being that blessing. And then the end result is that you will inherit a blessing. Trust me, you will inherit that blessing. Habit number 2 is the habit of releasing bad memories, failed attempts, past hurts, unhealthy relationships, but believe it or not, also releasing past successes, those good things that we just want to hold on to. You end up with a garage full of trinkets and junk that you just can't seem to get rid of. But get into the habit of releasing. And then habit number three is the habit of loving yourself, loving your potential, loving others without judging. So as you get just those three, I mean, those three, first three habits, um, often are enough to turn things around for me. I know they certainly did that, because it was these were actually, um, the beginning. I actually started the seven habits was actually the one habit was the habit of loving, and then the second one was the habit of giving. And I for years I taught those two. Those were my course, the habit of loving and the habit of giving. But I had to come to understand that I couldn't get to loving myself without releasing the hurt and the bad things that had been done to me by others and by myself, but also the habit of giving, I had to understand should come with the habit of expecting. And so those two are what I call the wonder twins, the habit of giving. Targeted giving, matched giving, and percentage based giving are great ways to get into the habit of giving. Don't get into that haphazard giving where, excuse me, brother, you got a dime. Can you spare a dime? And you pull out and just drop it and you don't give another thought to it. Your giving should be done with the expectation that I expect something great to come from this giving. From I if I'm giving to this boys and girls organization, I expect to see boys and girls benefit. I want to see a benefit. What is the benefit of my giving? That you should be willing to, because no farmer plants a seed without expecting. So you should always, that's habit number five, always expect a return of your giving. Make room to receive. Don't plant seeds of doubt, and don't be surprised or feel the need to apologize for a bountiful harvest. When you give and you receive, the moment you put it out there, it comes back. That's the way it's supposed to be. Now, habit number six, it makes a difference between giving and with expectation. And that's this part of giving where you don't expect. That's sharing. When you share of yourself, share of your talents, your advice, you share of your time. Oftentimes you are doing so to solve someone else's problem. But when in one of my other coaching sessions, I talk about in dealing with customers and clients and adding value, that it begins with solving the problem. If you don't solve the problem, you won't stand a chance of getting the prospect to see the value. But even if you came upon someone who had a problem and you solved that problem, you can't expect them to turn around and write you a check and say, wow, I was choking on that bone and you saw me choking and you came and you performed the Heimlich maneuver and the bone flew out of my mouth and now I can breathe. Here, let me write you a check for solving my problem. No, it's not going to happen. Um, right now, even during this COVID-19 lockdown that we're under, the first responders, that first line of the essential workers are out there serving first to solve the problem. Now, once they solve the problem and bring the solution, yes, you and I should be able to see the value in that and be willing to give and 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 pay because of the value. That's why the customer is going to write you a check because they see the value. So Seth Godin says it perfectly. He says, if we can fall in love with serving people, creating value, solving problems, building valuable connections, and doing work that matters, it makes it far more likely that we're going to do important work. And those that are sharing are doing this important work, but they're doing it with the heart that um, they're in love with serving people and they're solving problems. They're creating value and building those valuable connections. That's what this is all about. That's the habit of sharing. Habit number 7 um, gets is the habit of silence. But I say everything begins with silence. The effect, the Bible says, of righteousness will be peace, and the result of righteousness, quietness and trust forever. And then I have chosen the way of faithfulness. I've set my heart on your laws. Everything, all these laws, everything begins with a silence. That silence that I talked about in the very beginning, as we started talking about the zones that we went over in the earlier segment. That's where it all begins. The habit of silence is being able to silence your negative thoughts by speaking positive affirmations. You can silence that emotional chatter by expressing your feelings through art, music, song, dance. Just giving it some sort of an expression rather than um, having it just be voices on the inside. You write down that poem, and you'll start finding yourself going back to one of the other modules that I mentioned, that you should cherish the small victories in this 7 steps to overcoming adversity. Step number 4 is cherish the small victories, writing it down, keeping a journal of what you're going through. Then strengthen your spiritual connection, so you set aside that daily quiet time. And that goes back into what I was saying about the cherish the small victories, that writing down that journal, that quiet time, whether that quiet time is just before bedtime or just after waking up in the morning before your day gets going, or um, uh, doing what a friend of mine does every day like clockwork. He doesn't have meetings beyond 12:30 because he's trying to get home to get in his afternoon nap. Yeah, I think he does the nap between 2 o'clock and 4, so that or either 12, I think it's 12 and 2, maybe somewhere in there, but he does a 2 hour nap in the middle of the day every day. That's his quiet time. And a couple of days I've tried it. I mean, I've been able to do it a few days, not on a regular basis, but my quiet time is usually early in the morning. Um, my work day doesn't fall enough for me to have a pattern trying to serve clients that I have to um, um, work around their schedule more so than mine. But I'm beginning to make that shift. I'm making adjustments always, and so that's what I was saying earlier, that we have to make those adjustments. But you can begin to adjust what your greatness zone looks like. But these 7 habits are the habits that will help you maintain that position in that, not only the greatness zone, but that miraculous zone that is right there in the middle of the greatness zone. So let's go over. Well, this is a review of the 7 habits to greatness. Habit number 1 is the habit of forgiving. Number 2, the habit of releasing. Number 3, the habit of loving. Number 4, the habit of giving. Number 5, the habit of expecting. Number 6, the habit of sharing. And number 7, the habit of silence. There you have it, guys. This is the 7 habits to greatness. Module number 3 is now complete. This video will be available at richardcuff.com, which will take you to a Get Ready for Greatness YouTube channel. There you can like the video, subscribe to the channel, and also ring that bell, because that'll let you know every time I post a new video. You'll get an alert that you can come over and check it out. Also, go to check us out on Facebook at Get Ready for Greatness, like the Get Ready for Greatness page, and do go to getreadyforgreatness.com. Create your free coaching profile. You can also get the workbook for the download for the 21 Days to Greatness. And I'll continue to go over these. These videos obviously are all online, so you'll be able to go and watch them and go through the training. Probably the easiest way, if you don't have the time to go through each of the 21 days, just do day 7, 14, and 21, because those are the days that I sum up the entire 7 day module, all 7 days. So if as a refresher, you'll be good to go into day 7, 14, and 21. Um, and 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 if you just want to say thank you, if you guys want to connect with me, you can reach me here at my office number or by email, or just shoot me a message on my Facebook page at Richard Cuff. Follow me there on Facebook at Richard Cuff, LinkedIn, and Twitter at Richard Cuff, and on Instagram at Cuff the Comedian. So with that, I am happy to wrap up this 21 days to greatness. And thank you guys for hanging out with me for the Lunch and Learn workshops. I'll be posting this video on my Facebook page, so look for that. And also, you'll see all the videos on the Get Ready for Greatness page, as well as the Get Ready for Greatness YouTube channel. So until next time, guys, I'll see you guys in the morning for my morning commute. And do share the videos and leave a comment. Let me know what you think. With that, I'll talk with you guys tomorrow. Take care.